gamers, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to write the perfect story. Now, some of you may know I'm a writer, some of you probably don't know. I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect story. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get more content like this. I do everything on this channel, you can like it. If you like it, of course, hit the notification bell and we'll get right into it. One is to be original. Now, hear me out. No one wants to read a story of a ripoff of another thing, right? Say, let's take The Shining book, for example. Imagine I write a story about a dude who gets trapped in a hotel and goes crazy, okay? That's not original, that's The Shining. That's stupid, and you need to get your own idea. I don't know how I could elaborate any more on that topic. Number two thing is to have a lesson in your story. Now, a lesson. Well, not all readers are going to be children. They don't need a little Bible study lesson or whatever you're trying to get out. Well, they do. It'll actually hook the reader, invest them into the story, and when they get to the end, don't explicitly say the lesson. They're going to have to think about it, and they'll think, wow, that taught me a little about myself. Maybe I'm going to change some things in my life. This was a life-changing story, and then the story is going to be really dear and near to them. Number three does not contradict number one. Number three is to be inspired. Now listen, number one, I said be original, okay? But that doesn't mean that you can be inspired by something. We'll take The Shining, for example. To be original, I would not write about a dude who gets trapped in a place and goes crazy. I could take little bitty details and add them to my story and maybe manipulate them even more. Maybe let's say instead of a hotel, in the winter and they're snowed in and stuff, maybe they get trapped in a bunker for a storm, a tornado storm, and the man gets really mad and stuff happens. I mean, anything could happen in your story, but you can make it about natural disasters and they get stuck in a bunker and they all go crazy. I don't know, but you can be inspired. Just don't rip off another story. That is stupid. Four is to make your story flow. Now listen, don't have too many time jumps. Because then you're going to be like, what? Wait, what? And your reader's going to be confused. Make sure that your sections are long enough, and if you're going to do a time jump, make it to a different chapter so it's not as weird. And at the beginning of the next chapter, you need to slowly let the reader know that it's been a while. But don't jump too far. At the beginning of your book, you could have a flashback. And then you could have like 10 years later or something. Don't do it in the middle of the book. That is crazy. That's no flow at all. You write a ton and then, let's say you write half your book. And then you're like, okay, 5 years later. And then the rest of the book is 5 years later. And then right before the end, you're like, 5 years later. That is repetitive and stupid and it has no flow. Make sure everything goes off from where you left off. Like a chapter, it's like a little bit ahead. Not too much. A day, maybe an hour even, goes by in between chapters. Okay, let's say that. Have them flow. Make the flow keep going even in between chapters. Alright? 5, don't make your story drag out. Alright? Make it long, but make sure it's not too long. You want it to be long. You want to keep on writing. You want to keep on writing. But when the story ends, don't drag it out. Because if you have a story in mind, you don't do any planning, you're just writing. And then you get to the end of the story and you're like, what am I going to do now? Well, I got to drag the story out. No, you can't drag the story out because no one's going to want to read that. They'll read it for a little bit and they're like, well, this is stupid. And most people, you can tell when they try and drag a story out, all right? You don't want to drag it out. You want to plan your writing, and when you write it, don't drag it out. You want to take that, and when you're finished with the main story, you want to go back and add detail scenes, add, to make it longer. And say you write a story about a vampire, and then I finally get to the end that's in my mind. I'm like, this is how I want him to die, and then you write that. Well, let's say I have like 3 chapters, and I'm like, well, I gotta write more now. So go in there, add more details, add a random chapter about a flashback to his childhood, or add a chapter about like a soulmate or a lost friend, or the person he loves, or about his parents, or about where he grew up, or something like that. You don't have to go in the past, you can stay in the present. You could sidetrack him for some reason, add a little twist in the story. You need to make sure that your story does not drag out, because that's the worst thing you could do. And I have a bonus for you guys. So, you want to pick a genre. Pick a genre and stick with it. There's a ton of genres, and I know you like to mix genres and everything. You can mix too, but don't mix more than that, and don't make the story more complicated than it needs to be. If you're writing a young adult literature, you don't want to start talking about, adult stuff like, I gotta pay the bills. Well, maybe if you're 20 and you're moving out and you're scared that you gotta pay the bills, you can write about that, but don't write about, oh, the taxes are due tomorrow, No young adult's gonna want to read about that. That's stupid, okay? You're not gonna get their attention. You're gonna pick a genre and go with it. If you're an action, you could do action fantasy. That's amazing. But if you're an action, don't put like weird stuff like, what's a weird thing with action? I guess young adult kind of is weird, but maybe it's a fantasy and your young adult is a knight or something like that. I don't know. But don't make contradicting ones. Stick with the genre. Maybe mix 2. No more than that. And make it flow. Hope you guys liked that. That was the 5 tips to write the perfect story. And I hope you guys liked. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video, share it with a friend, and the bell beside the subscribe button. Press it, and you will get immediately notified next time I upload a video. And then you'll know how to do everything. Amazing. That's great. That's great. That's great. Love you guys. Bye. Got you.